Hey everybody, welcome to my weekly chat, and this is for July 30th through August 5th, 2018. Where's that time moving? So let's talk right away about this blood moon that has just happened, right? And also this intense time of gains and losses. And one of the things that I want to say about this coming week is it's going to move like lightning. Things are already moving very fast, but one of the ways to get on top of that, believe it or not, for those of you like me who have a hard time scheduling ourselves, it's going to be really important to schedule things in to get them done. Now, one of the things I want to tell you about a blood moon, and this is very interesting because I don't think I'll see it again in my lifetime, but what I want to say to you is that this energy of an eclipse that turns red, like that energy goes into first chakra matters. So what we're really talking about is things from your very root that you must uncover, discover, and discard. So that's what this week is going to be about. And I really want to encourage you to really get that if you don't get rid of things, it's going to feel heavier than ever before. What does that mean? All right, so let's take a look at the cards. And one of the things I'm going to invite you to do is just send some light into this moment. And I'm going to ask for Spirit's assistance. And I'm going to pull a couple cards for the week. And let's see what's going on in terms of our intention. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 4 cards. I'm going to put them in front of me, and I'll let you know what they are as we go along here. And one of the things, okay, there's no accident here. One of the things I want to say to you about this week is that it's going to be vitally important that you really get in touch with what it is that's important to you. And one of the ways to do this is to literally sit down and say, if there was no money in the world, if there was nothing I had to do, what would I be doing? And I have friends who joke and say, oh, well, I'd sit on the couch. Well, then sit on the couch and do that for an hour and see how that really feels. Because I think you'll find that sometimes it's through not doing anything that we find the things that we need to do. And so I think that's going to be a very important thing. Now let's take a look at the cards for the week. And I am going to mention retrogrades again. I know these lights are kind of like, all right, so I'm just going to hold them up and then I'll hold them up individually so you can see. I want you to notice right away when we talk about chakra energy, especially with the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, we're looking at yellow, yellow, and we're also looking at 6 chakra cards. So I want you to get that this is about our gut instinct, right? And our instinct is going to guide us to the miracle we need. And yet we've got these retrogrades in that 6th chakra space of hidden family agreements. So let's talk about that for a minute. A couple things I want to say to look at this week. When we see, I want to call them retrograde cards. I yawn a lot when I go into a deep, deep state, so bear with me. Couple things I want to say about this. When I'm looking at these cards and I'm looking at specifically despondence and balance reversed, one of the things I say to people as I'm doing ongoing teaching with some of my, my certified folks, one of the things I want to say about that is that don't overly stress or look at a retrograde or a reversed card as a horrifying thing. I want to tell you that right now in the sky, we've got Mercury and Mars retrograding. Now, I happen to be born under a Mars retrograde, so I get a lot more done. One of the things I want to say, everybody's always like things go haywire, and it's true they do. But one of the things I want to point up about them going haywire is when they blow up like that, that really gives you an opportunity to go, oh, what's that part doing in there? And go, I don't want that anymore. So let's take a look now at the way these cards have kind of placed themselves. So the first thing I want to say to you, and I kind of, I'm looking at them and going, this is interesting. So the first thing I want to say is the miracle card, right? Let me see if I can find a way to show that to you. So there you go. Okay, so you can see that's the miracle card. One of the things I want to say about the miracle card that's very important is that this card in the actual fable of the card, which is I can't even think of the fable name right now. I know I'd have like 12 people go, it's this. But anyway, the miracle card, one of the things we want to look at is what opposes exposes. So sometimes our thinking can be too magical, and that can lead us to a sense of despondence or upset. Because what happens is, especially if you grew up with some kind of, I want to say childhood challenges, where you had to go into a fantasy land to escape what was going on. One of the things that happens is we can get swept up in magical thinking. And that becomes a very safe place, because what's underneath it is the true depression of the parents or the people who raised us or our circumstances. So when we look at a card like despondence and then balance reverse, because this is emaciated periwinkle, that's the fable for this one. And one of the things I want to say about that is that's about living in a fantasy and hoping that when that one thing happens, everything will change. And so what I'm really seeing here for you in this week, and especially with the dissipating card, it's one of those things where stop talking about it and do it, Now, as I put this reading together for you for this week, it's really interesting because I threw on my running stuff and I was like, okay, I've got to talk to everybody about the week. And I want you to know that as you're coming out of the blood moon, I want you to get that it's almost like getting over the flu. I want you to get that you're still going to be a little bit kind of feeling like you're walking through jello. However, this really is a week to give up hiding behind magical thinking and stepping into the real possibilities. Let's look at now this spread as an opportunity for authenticity. And let's flip it around to what it could possibly mean for you in this coming week. So when we look at, okay, we're going to start with the miracle card. I'm going to try to get it so I'm just sorry about this, guys. Okay, so the miracle card, one of the things you want to look at here is that the story is in the town of Darkville, there is someone who, they're all cheating each other. And when one person is authentic and has some, I want to say, honesty to what they're doing, the authenticity is what turns on the light. So what we're really looking at here, especially for the miracle card, is you really want to look at what can I step forward with in my truth this week? And this is really going to be important for you on this week coming. And it really is about making decisions from a place of truth. Don't make them from an emotional, that person hasn't called. Don't read it as a place of meaning something about you. Now, it's very important that you get that this whole spread has no orange cards. There's no emotion here. This isn't about emotion. This is also about hidden agreements with your ancestors. Who did you agree to take on their sadness so they didn't have to face it? Who did you agree to take on their gift so they didn't have to really achieve it? So what I want to say to you is when we look at that sixth chakra and what that's about for you this week, it's about clearing out what's not yours. And I want to say something to you about the despondence card, which I think can be very important. Whenever I see this card, it's an incredible opportunity to walk away from someone else's sadness that perhaps you've taken on. I have to tell you, one of the biggest freedoms I experienced when I was working with cards early on was the idea that this depression that I was experiencing was not mine. It was inherited from the sadness and the abuse my mother experienced. And that is a heavy thing when you're in the womb and you're carrying that. And here's the deal. You either believe in the energy or you don't. And when I say believe in the energy, you know that it's real for you. And one of the things that you can't do is kind of selectively, intuitively go, well, that's real and that's not. We have to kind of say, I know all this to be true, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's uncomfortable for me. And I don't have to confront anybody about it. I don't have to say anything to anybody. People talk a lot about closure. And I want to tell you, to me, closure is when I make the decision that I'm going to forgive myself for judging someone else for doing something. And by the way, we never forgive others. We forgive ourselves for judging them. Because the truth is, if you turn around and forgive somebody, you're assuming that they did something wrong. Now, here's something interesting. They may have done something morally incomprehensible. However, there is a thing to be said for our own dissipating energy because we're carrying a resentment with us. So when we look at this as a positive, sometimes we don't want to achieve, because if we achieve, the person that abused us will be off the hook. And I want to tell you that I suffered with that for years, and I relate to that. So one of the things I want to say about dissipating for you is really look at, are you wasting energy, or is it something you really don't want? And really get clear with that. And so what I want to give you this week as a thought, and this will be something to really step into, when you look at that dissipating card, are you really just wasting energy, or are you trying to just sit on the couch and do nothing? And you know what? I've got to be honest. Sometimes it's really important to do nothing. I have a friend who used to say to me, I spend one day a month in bed. And, there's something to that. There's something to the weather playing into letting us off the hook, allowing us to say it's raining today, And what I want to say to you in this coming week is this is about breaking old patterns, scheduling things to do differently. So here are 3 things I'm going to suggest for you this week. Number 1, put in your calendar a date with you and keep it. And that means if you want to sit there and just go and think about yourself, do that. Give yourself that hour. I remember somebody years ago saying to me, it was July 4th, and somebody said, what are you going to do today? And I said, I think I'm going to lay on the couch and watch the Colombo Marathon. And I think that's on for 12 hours, and I'm just going to draw. And I don't draw, but I like to draw. So I do it. I'm bad. But that guy later became my boyfriend, and he was a great guy. The point I'm making is sometimes we just have to be so truthful that we want to do nothing. And I want to say that to you. You've come through a very rough time this past week, and doing nothing is an opportunity for you to just dump out what's not working. And if you're one of those people that has to do something, get a big pad of paper and put on the left what I really love and put on the right what I'm really wanting to let go of. A blood moon is an opportunity for you to say, I'm releasing all this stuff, because I want to tell you right on the wake of that eclipse, which is where it is in the darkness that we plant seeds. But it is in the light, we're looking at a full moon right after it. It's in the light that we get to get rid of what we don't want. So I want to say to you, this is a week to weed your garden, but it's also a week to do nothing. So we're looking at that dichotomy. And I really want you to take with you the idea of that sometimes dissipating and miracle can work hand in hand. Because the biggest miracle that we can have sometimes is just to allow ourselves to understand where we are in the moment. And that's a real gift. I'll see you next week. Please put your comments below. And if you do enjoy these videos, please follow me and follow the page and like, and subscribe to the channel. I will see you next week.